GST will miss its deadline?
Well, we hope not. There's still a chance, and if the government and the opposition work together, I'm sure it can be passed.
Ma'am, the government was thinking of, convening a special session for the GST. When is that likely? When is the Parliament likely to meet for a special session next?
Well, the Parliament has not been prorogued as yet, and the Cabinet Committee appropriately will take a call, and it is only after that we'll know. At the moment, there's not much of an information that I can share with you on this.
And ma'am, do you think the government reached out enough to the opposition? Do you think there was a flaw on the government's part too for not reaching out to the opposition too much on this issue?
Well, reaching out does happen, and we are still willing to reach out. I think what is important is for all of us also to understand the importance of getting Parliament to work. And I'm sure the opposition parties also want a meaningful debate. But I suppose there were too many issues, not just one, not just two, but I suppose there were too many issues. The government is always willing. And as I said somewhere else, as and when it was appropriate, the Prime Minister also intervened in debates, more than 5 occasions in which he did. So the Prime Minister would also come in as and when there is that space. So the government will reach out, the Prime Minister will definitely speak. All these are there, but of course all of us will have to hear one another.
And ma'am, the big talk in international markets is the devaluation of the yuan. How big a blow do you think that is for India, and how can we ensure that our exports are not badly hit by that move of China?
Well, the devaluation of the yuan is a serious matter, but it has challenges as much as opportunities is what I would think. Because once the devalued yuan is the picture, their exports are going to become cheaper. There will be more of their goods coming into India, which of course does not augur well for Indian manufacturing. But when you're looking at supply chains in which many of the Indian manufacturers are also part of, getting cheaper raw material will help many of the Indian manufacturers. One. The other side of the story is even the Chinese media themselves. I quote what had happened yesterday in the official Chinese media. They have started recognizing that India probably will be the next manufacturing hub. And to prove the point, Foxconn has come into India. There are many other who have also moved into India. So slowly the change is happening. Investment into India is happening. There could be, as much as the cheap imports threaten our own manufacturing, there are also small and medium industries which benefit from the cheaper imports. So we have to carefully understand the situation, be watchful of it. But I shouldn't think there should be panic, because we are closely monitoring the situation, and we'll make sure that Indian manufacturing will be protected.
Great. Ma'am, you mentioned Foxconn, and Make in India is a big program of the government. Foxconn has openly admitted that they are investing big time in India. Which are the other companies, ma'am, which have promised big ticket investments as regard to Make in India?
Well, promise is one thing. When you got to know of Foxconn, a lot of other work had been done, engaging with them. They're going around states, finding out which state is going to be more comfortable for them to start with. They're not going to confine themselves to just one state. They're going to have many more units in the next 5 years. So many companies which are coming in are at a stage where they are doing the recce. They're going around states. They're talking with state governments. So once that comes to a fruition, we'll be able to say, okay, these are the companies. At the moment, there are a lot of movements.
Ma'am, if China continues on this path of the yuan, will we take some major steps, or will we be scared of the big country that China is and being the big dragon in the global market?
Well, already, in order to ensure that our manufacturing sector is not going to be adversely affected by the cheap Chinese imports, we are already taking a lot of steps. When the sector, approaches us to say, oh my God, this is going to create a problem, would you do something? We immediately respond. So as and when sectors do come to us saying this is indicative of a huge influx, we do respond to particular sectors. But as it is on the reduction of value or the devaluation of the yuan and the comprehensive impact it might have in terms of cheaper goods, the ministry together with the finance ministry is very watchful of the entire spectrum, and we are being very careful about monitoring sectors, and as and when there is a requirement, we certainly will take action.
Ma'am, given that the CPI and the WPI have been consistently falling, do you think there is a demand for an out-of-turn rate cut?
Well, I will put it this way. There's been definitely a very, very successful attempt at containing inflation, no doubt. Of course, there might be one or two items which are, I won't say essential, but which form the staple of poorest of the poor households, like onions and potatoes and so on, in which the price fluctuations are kept talking about, and seasonal fluctuations are also added on, saying, is this a cause for worry? Will this increase inflation? So on. But on that, we are being very careful about monitoring. But overall, inflation has been managed. But to me, our growth has to be managed too. To me, I want capital available at affordable costs. To me, growth has to be given an impetus for which there should be a lot more detailed work. And in that, I would want also a kind of an open-minded approach, and which of course requires the RBI also to be on board.
Great. Ma'am, there was talk of increasing FDI in plantation sectors like coffee and rubber. When are we expecting that notification, and which are the other sectors that the government is looking at to increase FDI in?
Well, at the moment there's nothing for me to say about FDI in plantation or anything else, but there's a lot of speculation and talk in the media, but I have nothing to say on that at the moment.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, on the front of e-commerce, the government held a lot of consultations with various stakeholders, and the government is also looking to come out with guidelines on e-commerce. By when can we expect those, ma'am? Is it like a wide-ranging guideline, or will there be sector-specific issues too?
The consultations happened at various levels. On 15th July, I had consultation with state ministers too. I think it was on the 10th, before the 15th meeting that I had, the DIPP had engaged with the banking sector, with very many other groups, and worked out understanding of how issues related to e-commerce can be handled. We've asked the states to come back with their view. They have not come back yet to us. The sooner they come, it will be better we are reminding them, because we would like to have a comprehensive guidelines, because at the moment the worry is there isn't a level playing field. B2B, you know, is open, but B2C is not. At the same time, if you look at the situation in brick and mortar, they also now feel there's a lot of encroachment into their terrain, just as many of the brick and mortar also want to utilize the portals to sell their way through the e-commerce route. So the line that differentiates between brick and mortar and e-commerce is really blurring, and therefore we need to work to get some guidelines.
And ma'am, multi-brand retail, FDI in multi-brand retail is one issue that the government has been grappling with. In the Rajya Sabha, you replied saying that the government has still not taken a view on it. What is the next step? Is the government seriously considering revising the FDI in multi-brand retail?
At this moment, there is no review. So how it will turn out in the near future, I can't say.
And ma'am, on ease of doing business, you're looking to rank states and also get it approved by the World Bank. How is that process going, ma'am?
Not get it approved by World Bank. I mean, what we do in this country is our business. We don't need somebody's approval. But of course, World Bank's ratings is the one on which a lot of discussion happened, saying why is India 140th, why is India so badly ranked and all that. The ranking system is something on which the World Bank's technical experts are also talking to us to say this is how we, what is ease of doing business, what constitutes that, how, states can vie to become better in terms of that perception of it's easier to do business here and not so much somewhere else. So on that, yes, the World Bank is working and giving technical support for us. But we are working with the states, and already many states have already come up with a very clear record of, this is what we've done. We are much better off in terms of, giving that comfort for business to come and invest and do business in our states and so on. So that I think is a very good start. And once the initial first round of doing the ranking happens, you would find that among states there will be clarity on what are the kind of things they need to do in order to attract business.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.